both been in relationships on TV.
Yeah.
How real are the relationships?
But I think it's sort of very much feels like a PR when you come out of Love Island.
For people that are kind of, there wasn't a natural draw, you're kind of pushed in a direction, go on a date with this person, you should speak to this person, don't speak to that person. Love Islands, they literally just clip whatever sort of like couple they're trying to follow. How you come across is not really in your own hands. Say you were 22 now, same situation, you got asked to go on TV, would you still go on?
No.
Miles, Charlie, welcome to the Inspired by show.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Do you know what? I was going to say welcome to the studio, but it's your studio.
It's our studio. Thank you. So it's great what we've done with this.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Yeah, I do like the new sign though.
Yes.
Amazing.
And the mics, I think we're going to have to add this to the list of things to get for Playtime. Because this is a nice little that is a nice little touch.
We keep on following suit with everything you get for the studio. So yeah.
I love
You're
it.
one step ahead.
It's a win-win. It's a win-win.
It works.
Well, it's great having you both on the show. So for full transparency, this is the first time I've ever had two guests on the Inspired by show. And we've obviously just recently started working with Playtime Productions, which is really exciting. So we thought it'd be good to get you guys on the show.
Yeah.
Now, as you both know, concept of Inspired by is all about sharing your inspiring story. And I'm quite curious to see how this is going to go with two people, you know, delving in, sharing a little bit. And I know both of you have been in front of cameras before, so you don't really need me to tell you how this works.
Yeah.
I would love to start off with, both of you are known as many things and have done many things, but both typically more on the public eye with reality TV. So I'm curious to start there. What got you into reality TV?
Do you want to go first? You go first.
No, you go first.
Okay, I'll go first. So, I guess I've been friends with people that have been on Chelsea for a while, like Miles, Harvey, before I was friends with Miles as well. And it's kind of always been like something in the background there. I was working in like real estate. I was like an investment analyst for a quite a big company. Really great job. But I kind of came to a crossroad where I wasn't really enjoying it. I was looking to change jobs. I was approached about going on Love Island. I think it was like the third year in a row on Instagram. And I was like, why not? Let's have a conversation. And then sort of within the space of about a month, everything moved very fast and they were like, come on. I was like, why not? Fuck it. Sorry, I'm allowed to swear.
Yeah, it's fine.
And next thing I know, I'm on TV. Yeah.
No way. So
Yeah.
it happened really, really fast for you.
Yeah, very fast, very fast.
Wow.
It was so funny because you were like, it was when we were training in the gym and you then stopped drinking, going out. We didn't see him going out at all. And he was like, step master every day. Training, he's trying to get shredded. And we're like, why are you getting so ripped? You'll see soon.
No, because I remember there was a phase where I hadn't told anyone. I was just like, I wasn't seriously considering doing it. I was kind of just going through the motions. And then it got to the final bit. And then you basically knew someone who was like, had interviewed or something.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh.
Saw Charlie in there.
Yeah. And you were like, what?
Charlie's
like, mate, why have you not told me?
Yeah.
But
so you were toying with it as well. You were like, you went back and forth of wanting to do it so long. You were like, should I do it? But my career in like, obviously in the city will, you know, maybe I won't get another job after this or and you were like, and I think our advice at the time was like, it's a one lifetime experience. You gotta do it.
Yeah.
You know, and you smashed it.
Well, I didn't quite smash it, but it was a lot of fun. And like Miles said, it was massively sort of weighing up whether I built up this quite good corporate career, done loads of studying, did a master's, did a professional qualification, all of this. And it was almost, do I completely take a U-turn and do something that's like a massive risk? And yeah, it was like amazing opportunity, I think. And yeah, I think I've like grown a lot and learned a lot about myself, what I enjoy, what I want to do since then. So despite only being on there for a short amount of time, like it's pushed me in the right direction of where I want to like be and what I want to do now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I'm so interested to dive into more about that because I think obviously you've both been in reality TV in different ways, but with Love Island, I always find it fascinating because you don't know how long you're going to be on the show. So you what do you say to your job? Sorry guys, I'm about to go on a TV show that I can't tell you about. I might be a month, I might be a week, I might be 3 months and be gone for the whole of summer.
Yeah, well, for me, I literally resigned. Yeah.
Wow.
Because I was basically looking to move jobs. This came around. I was like, look, I can't just like say I'm going away. I don't know how long I'm going to be away for. So it was kind of like a natural thing for me to be able to do that at that point in time. So it was kind of like a timing thing that coincided, which made it possible for me. But obviously I was like kind of shitting myself, resigning from my job to go on a TV show. I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a wild experience. Like the whole thing is just like, it's like being in a social experiment in effect. It's quite different to other reality TV in the aspect that it's kind of, you can't really foresee what's going to happen, or like, it's not, it is produced, but not as produced in terms of like storyline. So yeah, it's pretty wild experience. Definitely like a once in a lifetime thing. Yeah.
Amazing. And so you mentioned there that obviously when you first got the opportunity, you were hanging out with people who were already in reality TV. So Miles, you've been in reality TV for longer then. So were you in it before you met Charlie then?
Oh yeah, I've been in this old slug for 6 years now.
Oh my God.
Is it 6 years?
Yeah, 6 years.
Yeah.
Mad. Yeah, I mean, it's in a way kind of a similar story how you get into TV as well. I actually had my own marketing company that I had made with my friend, and we would renovating cafes that weren't working in London, and we turned them into bars because their spaces were really big. And we did this one project called the Albrook Bar in Fulham, and I was working there, and we renovated it, and we revamped it, and then a director from Chelsea came in because they wanted to film there, and then they saw me, and I said, yeah, we can help you film here, managing that for them. And then I got a call 2 minutes later saying, hey, thanks for showing the space, but we'd love to see if you'd like to come in and interview before coming into film to come from Chelsea. And the reason why also, I mean, back then I had really, really long hair, blow dried back, I had a shirt and jacket, Chelsea boots.
Brazilian blow dry.
No, not yet. Not at that time. Now I do.
Sorry, a bit of context there. I just realised we haven't spoken about this podcast. Basically, Miles has got.
You're gonna help me again today. Yes, I got we can't say it today. Brazilian blow dry.
Sorry, do you feel like I'm outing you doing that?
No, it's fine because people know about it now.
No. The thing is, like, I think it's nice.
Thank you.
I think it's you should own it, mate.
I am owning it.
Yeah,
Thank you for.
Well, you fucking own it.
So yeah, where are we? So
sorry.
No, so yeah, I looked very Chelsea, and I spoke. If you think I'm posh now, I was back then. I was yeah. And I was 22. God, I was so young. And
what, did you have more of a posh accent? Really?
Yeah.
Couldn't picture that, mate.
Yeah, it was. Really,
was it quite put on, or was it like more just from your school and stuff like that?
Probably more to do with my friendship circle.
Okay.
Yeah, I was weird enough, it was way more posh back then. And if you watch my first episode, my accent is weird.
Really?
It's like yeah, so of course, and that was so bad. And then I remember calling my dad because I said no when they offered the opportunity, because I was really excited about my marketing kind of company that we were creating, and we did this first job and it was amazing, and we had an amazing turnout, and I was like, oh, I've got my own business. And then I called my dad, and my dad said, just do it. Who knows what could happen after it? And here's me thinking, okay, I'll do like one episode and then, they'll forget me. And then 6 years later, I'm still here, baby. But yeah, and then after, obviously, I met Charlie through one of your best mates who's on the show as well, Harvey. I knew him for a couple of years when he was on the show. And then, I think going from that experience of taking that leap to do a show like this when you have kind of a normal lifestyle, I always say, like, if you hadn't done it, we wouldn't be doing Playtime Productions. We would have not done Playtime Podcast, first of all, to then build this company. And, yeah, it's crazy. It's a bit of a crazy lifestyle.
Yeah.
That's what I always find really interesting, because a bit of backstory, which is going to sound really weird because I've known you guys for a couple of months now and not actually ever told you this, but I actually watched both the TV shows you were in when you first went on. Like, I used to watch Love Island loads, used to watch Made in Chelsea loads. And I was, since working with you guys, I've been like thinking back, like, did I like them?
Probably not. I'm not gonna lie. You probably did not like me. Back then, I was a little rascal.
I remember, yeah.
Great.
And it's funny because, you know, you see people, and this is what I want to talk about. You see people on camera and people make an assumption, which is whether it's a character they're playing or not, that some people do expand their personality, shall we say, when it comes to being in front of the camera. Both of you didn't pitch yourself. Both of you, by the sounds of it, got pitched too. For Chelsea, for Love Island. Was it as you expected? And what have you learned from being on camera? Now, I just wanted to quickly interrupt this episode to share a quick message with you. Now, I've been hosting these interviews with Inspired by Show for a while now, and I've been loving all of the great feedback from our listeners. And it really means a lot when you all share from listening to these episodes, watching these episodes, share your incredible feedback. And I love that you love it as much as we do. Now, my mission for the Inspired by Show is to inspire others to challenge the norm, share their story, knowing that it's okay to be vulnerable and shock horror, take the mask off and be raw and real. So I have a favour to ask. Can you help me on this mission by sharing this episode with someone who you think needs to hear this message? Maybe there's a friend, a loved one, a colleague, or someone that you know that would really benefit from hearing this inspiring story. If you could do that to help us, help even more people to challenge the norm and push themselves out of their own comfort zone, then I'd really appreciate it. So if you haven't already, share this episode with a friend, a loved one, a colleague, or someone that you know would benefit. Now, back to the episode.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point with the, you know, how you come across, because what you got to realize with all of these TV shows is for, like, say even like a 3-hour filming slot on something like Chelsea, you get like 30 seconds of worth of like airtime. Love Islands, they literally just clip whatever sort of like couple they're trying to follow. So it's very much like, it's not your sort of how you come across is not really in your own hands as such, I don't think. So that's something that people should really think about and consider. And I would say anyone that's thinking about doing these sort of things should think about before they do it.
Do you think there's, quickly, just to go on what you were kind of saying as well, it's interesting though, do you think there's a difference between someone who wants to be on TV and who gets approached? Because us, for example, you never before were thinking, oh, I want to go and do Love Island. You got approached on the third time, like, why not? I got approached, never thought I wanted to do TV. And then I was like, oh, maybe I should do it. And I did it. It's interesting to see, like, I've noticed there's probably quite a difference between people that we actually know who want to do TV, how they are and how they manage the TV world, comparing the people that I know who just got approached and then they ended up on it. And there is a very big difference. Yeah. Some are more humble, some are not. That's us, baby. In this very humble moment.
I wouldn't say so myself.
Yeah, I must say, we are saints.
Yeah. I think, no, you're right. I think the people that tend to, I think most people that try and get on TV normally don't get on TV though. Yeah. Right?
They they try and they do end up get on TV.
Well, I don't know. Like,
I mean, you can start talking names if it helps you to both be on the same page.
Okay, I'm calling you out now. No, but like, I feel like there's, you know what it is? I think in London especially, every time we've gone out, if it's, you know, going out clubbing or parties or bars, and then we meet people who come up to us and, you know, talk to us about the show and reality TV and all that kind of stuff. It's a very, the thing that I've realized the most is the people who are, let's say, haters, or who are kind of like, oh, that's something I would never do, whatever, are the ones who want it the most. And who fake it and pretend like, oh my God, I don't really care about it, but actually watch it, who really, really want to be on it because they see this lifestyle that we live that is only a short edit on the TV screen or on their phones and what they see on our social medias. And I think going back to what you just said, if you are going to want to be on reality TV, you have to really think about it. Because, and the reason why I brought up the whole thing about being approached and not being approached is because when I went on TV, I was super naive. So first of all, I was younger, I was 22. I was excited by anything. I was like, wow, I want to live every experience I had. I was like, this is super fun. And I remember going in my first year on Chelsea, And I was a producer's dream because you could tell me to do anything and I would have done it. Because it was great. I was going to Croatia for 6 weeks in a villa with an infinity pool, things that I'd never really seen before, and living this lavish lifestyle that, you know, you kind of have to put on, especially even though it's kind of like, oh, that is your lifestyle, but it's not for everyone. And I remember just kind of living and breathing and just loving it. But because of that, I think that's why I'm safer now and understand this TV world, rather than if I wanted it so much, I think it would have destroyed me more. Do you know what I mean? That's why I think there's a difference between someone who wants to be in this world rather than it just happens.
Yeah, because you never had an image of what it could have been or what it should have been, or letting you down. So let's go back to the moments for both of you when you finally said yes, whether it's taken a couple of years or whatever, and you've said, right, I'm going to do this. What was the first experience like for you, and what was going through your head afterwards? Like, was it a quick thing where you suddenly just made it? What was it like?
To make the actual decision?
After you've made the decision, once you filmed or you've said yes or whatever?
You were sweaty and red.
Yeah.
Sorry. Because I watched him live, obviously.
Yeah. So I that I was pretty red in that first scene.
Because didn't you suntan for like 2 months?
I basically was in like a holding villa because of COVID at the time, and you're there with like a chaperone who just stays with you. I was in there for like, I think it was 7-8 days. Get so bored. But anyway, it's very much Love Island's what's happening in the villa. They react to who they bring in, right? So every day the producers will ask you like who are your top 3 girls in the villa. And as things sort of progress, you might get a call. So like literally the night before I was supposed to go in, they were like, you're going to go in tomorrow. So I was like, oh fuck, I don't look that tanned. I might get out in the sun. So yeah, I went out, didn't put much sun cream on, and got very burnt. And my first time I came in, I was sweating.
Yeah, you were so gloss. Me and Tez watching, like, why is he shiny?
I tell you what though, that actually my first sort of entry thing was actually really overwhelming. Like I had to go on a date with all the girls at one time, and it was like, are you trying to set me up to fail here?
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I couldn't do that. Like even if I was like some ridiculous woman.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like it's crazy.
It's a lot.
But it's a lot. But that was for me. Yeah.
You know what? Weird enough, I had a similar experience to you like that when I did X on the Beach, because I had to do an entrance where I had to like, they were in the villa and I had to open up and go, hey everyone, I'm here, crashing the villa. And I was so nervous, and I had done TV for like 2 years prior to doing that show. So I was used to cameras and stuff, but I'd never done what you've done, which was put a mic on and they film you 24/7. You go to bed, you take your mic off, you wake up, you put your mic on. That was something really new to me. One of my favorite experiences of TV. So actually, honestly, X on the Beach, even though it's got a really bad like name for it, it's one of the best shows I've done. It was so much fun. And that I remember, so the director on that did Chelsea, so I knew him. And he was like, how you feeling? I'm like, I'm so nervous. He gave me 5 tequila lime sodas. So I opened the door first for my first entrance, couldn't open the door. So it's me going, and then everyone's looking up, this door going up, in and out. And then I couldn't open the door, and then they had to reshoot. And then it's me opening the door, battered, just go,
was it obvious you were drunk?
Yeah, you can see the clip. I'm just really, really drunk. And I walked down, we were up, put my mic on.
Could you string a sentence together?
No, I can't remember. But that was, I remember that feeling like, oh my God, you're gonna go out there now. It's like, that's more nerve-wracking than, for example, what I'm doing Chelsea, which is...
It's a bit more like preempt it, can't you?
Yeah.
But can you preempt how the public are going to take it? That's the bit I'm always curious about, because like, so for example, I speak on stage, right? So I can see straight away if an audience is getting it within minutes.
We were saying this, that you're a really good speaker.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We were actually chatting about this earlier. We were saying, seeing some of your stuff on Instagram, and I think you're a great public speaker.
Yeah, something that we definitely can't do.
And we were trying to understand the difference between public speaking and speaking on a podcast. And I literally said what you said there, which is you can probably get a lot more feedback from the audience as to like whether they're sort of like vibing with what you're saying or not. Whereas in a podcast, you could say a whole podcast and someone would listen to it like, this is shit.
Exactly. Yeah. It works both ways. Like it's great because you can read the audience.
Yeah.
The challenge though is it's so much more nerve-wracking because you've got an audience, you know, and if you get a heckler, how you handle that, all of that is a whole nother.
You've been heckled before?
Oh my God, yeah.
You've been heckled on stage?
What's the worst heckle?
Oh,
or the most difficult one to deal with?
I've had quite a lot. This is like reverse podcasting. I love it. Roles reversed. So I've had two really interesting experiences. One was when I had someone just stand up and say they outright disagreed with me. That was really interesting. But for me, I understand human psychology quite a lot. So I read an audience and I read a person, which is why I love podcasting. So I could read this person had an issue of significance. They wanted to be heard. They wanted to be seen because they've been having their hand up the whole time. And I was ignoring it because when you're on stage, you're taught to only open for questions when you need to, right? So I basically just said, look, I hear you. It's my job to make sure that I support you in understanding this. So come up on stage and let me answer your question. And I just like gave them the significance. Within 2 minutes, they were like, oh my God, like, after I got them on stage, gave them a bit of coaching. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, they were like, oh, thank you so much. It makes so much more sense. And then they asked to work with me afterwards. And I was like, I'm so grateful, but I just don't think it's going to work long term. I was like, this is just not. Fair
play to that person for getting up as well.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like it sounded like that person was like giving it the big one. He's like, come on stage. He's like, I'm all right. That's what I would have done.
I disagree. Who? Not me. Not me.
It's him.
Exactly. I think the interesting thing with podcasting and being on camera really and public speaking is that as a public speaker, I can adapt to the audience. So if I can see the audience, if I've got half an hour, let's say, and I can see within 5 minutes they're not feeling it, I can shake it up. I can save it. On camera, you can't, right? Because I mean, how quick are these things recorded and released? And what do you like? Let's go back to the first time you were on camera and it got released. Were you watching it? Were you like curious to see how the audience was going to respond? Like, I'm dying to know. Obviously, you can't watch it because it's live-ish in Love Island. But yeah, let's talk about your first experience. Miles, I'll go to you first.
Yeah, my one was crazy. I remember, mine happened really quickly. So from the day they asked me to come on the show and then me having my interview, it was like a week until my first scene. And I think I started like episode 2 or episode 3 from that season. And they told me to come to Canary Wharf, and I remember going, I thought we were made in Chelsea. Why are we not in Chelsea? and we were in this rooftop bar. I was with Toff from Chelsea, who did Celeb and all that, and this American girl called Mimi, who was on the show at the time, and James Russell Taylor, my good old pal,
your favorite.
And we were having champagne, and it was talking about like, oh, who's Miles and all that. I had a huge zit on my face as well, and I was really annoyed about it because I was like really worried the night before, and I was like, oh my God, I've got this huge spot. It wasn't even a spot, it was a zit. And I remember just being a bit panicky, did the scene, and you can tell in the first episode I'm like shaking when they go cheers. I'm like cheers, and I'm like kind of trembling, but I was trying to play it really cool back then. I still do this to this day. I'm like, yeah, my name's Miles, and I do marketing. I was doing all this. I was 22, marketing, fuck off Mars. So yeah, and then when it came out, because it comes out like a month or 2 months later, and I got all my friends, all my buddies around to my house, and I remember going on my Instagram. I had 800 followers back then, and I went to 9,000 in one night. And I remember my phone switched off because it overheated because I had notifications on, so it just went. It was like continuously like, who's Miles? Who's this French guy? No. And then I went on Twitter, and then you're like in this hole of like, you want validation. Everything changed because I had never had it before, but to this day, like my mate says this to me, who I know from school, and he goes, it's funny because if you look at your videos from Instagram, when you had like 50 people look at your stories, you still do the same thing to this day. So when I've got videos of this as well. It's literally me in the street talking like I don't always do here. So it's like, hey guys, what's up? Blah blah blah, and I'm just talking to no one, right? And then a year later, I was doing it on Chelsea, and then I still carried that out. But yeah, that was a crazy moment to like see yourself and then get all of this kind of, you're on the map all of a sudden. It's like from no one knows who you are to, okay, like the UK kind of know who you are now because you're on one of the bigger shows. And that was again, I was so naive to it. So I was very just so excited and I didn't really care. And people loved me, people hated me. And then I fell into the kind of the hate category because I was kind of like the guy who's going to get your girlfriend. So what?
It's quite crazy the carry that like a show like that has to translates to Instagram followers these days versus back then, because that's crazy. From one episode you went up to like 10k basically.
Yeah, I got to 10k and I got to 30k in a few weeks. I remember.
Wow.
Yeah,
it just went straight up. I was lucky.
Doesn't work like that these days.
But I was super lucky. I always say this to the newbies who go into TV, especially on old shows like Love Island or Main Chelsea. I was on the cuff of when TV became kind of like a known thing, like, oh, it's TV, no one really cares about it anymore. So Instagram was still kind of newish when I did it 6-7 years ago. And it was like that. I was so lucky to get loads of followers from that. Nowadays, we got, a new kid called Freddie. He's on the show. He's on maybe 20,000 followers and he's done 2-3 series. And he should be on way more than that. But it just doesn't work like that anymore because no one cares.
The game's always changing, isn't it?
It always changes.
As with everything.
Yeah.
And I find it fascinating that these shows like continue because, some of them, I mean, I've been watching Main Chelsea for far too long. That
it's been 11 years.
I'd probably watching it. I'd probably say 7 years, maybe 8 years. And it's fascinating because the more I've got to meet people from reality TV, like I've obviously interviewed now yourselves, met you guys a little while ago, interviewed some other reality TV stars from Love Island and other places. And I'm like, people are so different as what they're portrayed so far of who I've met.
So question, what is your, like knowing us from the beginning, like you said, you watched us ages ago to knowing us now, what are like,
oh God, do I want this on camera? No, I'm joking. It's like the whole point of the show is real, so let's bring it.
Be as honest as you want.
Yeah.
Slate us.
I just think
you're fired.
Exactly. Like,
get out of studio.
Yeah.
Start taking everything down.
I actually think TV never portrays people in the same way ever. I feel like you guys are super down to earth and like really just like open. Like I message you guys and I'm like, hey guys, I've got a question. What do you think of this? Very approachable, very down to earth. Whereas I think people come across, especially Chelsea, let's be honest, being Chelsea, people are made out to be,
sorry, Channel 4.
Yeah. But it a lot of people, I mean, still watch it.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of
really good to watch it,
Yeah.
And every time I watch it, I can never just watch it. I'm always doing something else. I'm like, this is dull. And I still have to watch it every time. Like I'm still hooked on it.
Yeah.
The thing I find fascinating though is how much of it's real, how much of it is staged. Like the bit I love, right, especially because I've seen more TV behind the scenes recently, is like when people come into a show. Love Island's a bit easier because people come into Love Island designed to come into Love Island. It's like, here's a new bombshell or whatever. Whereas Chelsea, it's like, here's my friend that I've met, but I've never met them. How has it been for you guys to sort of see that and experience that sort of like the fakeness that comes with TV?
Well, I mean,
you can talk to my manager. My PR will.
I can probably talk about this more freely, or I'm happy to because I'm not really in that game anymore. But I mean, a lot of it is very like certain programs are heavily produced. You get portrayed in a certain way when it's not really how you are, and it is full of a lot of fake people. You can tell from a mile off who is there to make it like far in a program versus those who are just on there who are a bit sort of naive and have just been sort of like thrown in and they're like, what the fuck's going on? That was me.
Can I ask you a question actually? Because you've both been in relationships on TV. How real are the relationships? Like I always wonder, do people meet off camera through like knowing each other? Like for example in Chelsea that would be feasible and then it goes on camera, or is it like people go, oh, like in Love Island you should go and get with that person? Like how real are the relationships and what's it like?
I don't know why you look too like, should we tell them?
Let me tell you from a public's perspective, because the public gets so invested in a relationship on TV in Chelsea and in Love Island.
I think like with Love Island, it is, it is quite produced.
I feel like Love Island, and I can only speak from being around couples from Love Island and been talking to you about, how it was for your experience. But I think it's sort of very much feels like a PR when you come out of Love Island. It's like it makes we're still relevant if we're still together, right? And I think that's happened for. I mean, if you look at realistically the couples on Love Island who's lasted is very minimal. It's not a lot. There are a few. I think there's like 2 or 3 couples who've got kids now, which is amazing. But I think that show, because it's so heavily based on love.
Yeah.
That when you come out of it, it's like you're forced to. Oh, we're the winning couple. We have to stay together.
Look, so there are, for sure. There's that pressure, I think, because of like brand deals, etc. But there are, I think, some genuine couples that did get together, they do like each other, and they've lasted, like, for sure. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, for people that are kind of just, there wasn't a natural draw, you're kind of pushed in a direction, go on a date with this person, you should speak to this person, don't speak to that person, that sort of vibe.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's hard though, because I think it's dating and TV doesn't work. That's a clip for you there. You're welcome. No, but it doesn't. I think it only works if you're able to separate them. If you are and something that I think we do very well, and that I've been trying to do it for the last couple of years now, is my TV life is my TV life and my off-screen life is my off-screen life. And unfortunately, when you do have a relationship, it becomes both of them, because you naturally have to share that love life on screen, regardless, even if you're still on screen meaning social media, meaning eyes on you, what events you're going to, parties, who's that next to you on your arm, that's still on screen. And then you have to keep your private life private. But to manage that, you have to be really strong. And people always think, oh my God, these celebs are super lucky and then all this, and it's way harder. I'd rather be no one in a relationship than someone in a relationship, because it can't, like my last relationship, that's one of the main reasons why we ended, was because the pressure of what this on-screen life comes with me. It didn't help. It didn't work for her. Why are you smiling?
No. I'm not smiling. I was just going to say, like, the way you need to look at it is, no one wants to see a nice, functioning, normal relationship. That's just boring, right?
Sadly, yeah.
Like no one's going to tune in to see that, are they? So ultimately, they're going to throw anything they can to make things ruffle the feathers. So it's like Miles says, it's kind of like destined for failure unless you can manage it correctly, or how the game works, what to do. But I do think it's a highly it is quite toxic to have anything serious on TV, I think.
Yeah. And we're talking a lot about TV. I do want to talk about other stuff as well.
Yeah, of course.
I think for this point, I find it interesting whether people continue in TV or not. Because Charlie, you mentioned there you can probably speak more openly because you're not going down that route as much.
Yeah.
Miles, you're very much going down that route. What have both been your decisions to go, do you know what, this is my career, versus actually giving it a go, it's not for me for whatever reason?
So from my perspective, I obviously did Love Island. That was a bit of like as we already discussed, I wasn't really expecting to do it. Came off that, and myself and Miles sort of created Playtime Productions, all this sort of stuff. But for me personally, I lacked the structure that I had previously in my life, with having like a corporate role. I wasn't doing sort of any TV off the back of it straight away. So I kind of, with Miles, for example, he's constantly doing TV stuff and stuff like that. So he's got stuff going on. I came off the back of it and I was a bit like, what am I doing? Like
the structure completely goes, isn't it?
Like a lot of people will come off it and sort of just like ride the wave and then get to the end of the wave, however long down the line it is, and then be like, oh shit, what do I do now? For me, I was very much straight away like, I need to get back into what I was doing. And for me also, I've realized, having done all the TV stuff, I'm not cut out for it. Like, it's not my gig. Like, I don't necessarily play into what is good for TV, that being, actively seeking the drama or creating it. And I don't think I'll ever be that person. So I think for me, it was like a natural thing.
It's amazing self-awareness though, and sometimes you have to learn that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like for me as well, that's a great point, because if I'd never done that, I think I would always have had it in the back of my mind and been sort of like chasing that potential thing. Oh, I could go on TV. But having been through the process and learned a lot about myself, I'm now very sort of like at peace and happy that I've done it, and realised that that's not the right thing for me. And now I know what I'm doing now is the right path.
Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah. And Miles, how did you decide that, you've been in Chelsea for 6 years, I think you mentioned, now going on other TV shows, Dancing on Ice will have been out by the time this is released. So that'll be a very exciting new milestone for you. What made you want to stay in reality TV?
Well, you're good at it.
I'm good at it.
Yeah.
I say that in a try not to be too arrogant way. I'm really good at TV. I'm very good at it. And that's because when I fell into it, like I said before, the whole being naive to TV and enjoyment of it, and I kind of understood it quite rapidly of like, oh, this is how it works. This is how I've got to do things, and this is how I kind of climb the ladder. And I also saw the opportunity for me, kind of reverse to Charlie. I feared life quite a lot. I was in a really serious relationship. I didn't know what I was doing in my life. I was 22 and I was trying to find structure that never existed. I have never had structure. So when I fell into TV and it just worked, everything worked, and all the guys were, I mean, still to this day, it's like, why does Mars do it well? And it's because I understood how to control it and to use it to my benefit. And I think Charlie will agree on this, is one thing I will say about reality TV is if you're a guy, it's harder. It's way harder for a guy in terms of work, brand deals, creating a name for yourself, having a good edit. Girls have it easier. Audiences want to see women on TV more than guys. Guys are more kind of just the whatever. If it's definitely love story, it's about, oh, that guy messed you around, or that's that dickhead, or we don't like him, blah blah blah. We love her, and it's always been like that. So it's really hard to navigate as a guy. Hence why there's a lot of guys on Chelsea or on TV who haven't got the biggest following, whereas girls, they come on TV and they just get 100,000 followers straight away. And that, for me, when I got into it, I enjoyed it. I understood what it was, and then I got approached to do other TV shows, and I've done 5 or 6 other different TV shows now. And then every time I go into a TV show, I kind of understand that this is what it is, and it's kind of playing on that kind of fun and being naive to everything is still, even though I know what's going on. And now what I've seen now, which is the biggest shift, is everyone keeps asking, are you going to continue Chelsea? Are you not? There's still press articles going, Miles has quit. Just because I said on one fucking podcast when I said, yeah, I think, one day I'll stop, because it's been 6 years. I'm not going to be on Chelsea, until I don't want to be 30 on Chelsea. No offense, Temps, but he's started late. But no, I don't want to do that. But for example, why I'm so grateful for Dancing on Ice is the first show that I've done which has got nothing to do with love. It's got nothing to do with romance. It's got I'm not.
Not yet, anyway.
Not anyway. But it was the first time that, and also I think what I'm really excited about is people who are going to see the footage. Like, it's the goofy Mars. It's like that. I'm really just quite mature on it in a very fun way, not in like a emotional way, very just like having fun and just being me a bit, which is really nice. And I think that's going to kind of project my next kind of TV career. I still want to do TV, but I think it'll get to a stage where reality TV is gone, but maybe do panel shows and do studio shows. That's more kind of
I think it's really good for you to do something that diversifies your audience away from being like the womanizer. But I think I genuinely that's not like a genuine. I think it would be really good. And also a question for you, sorry, taking over here. If you were the Miles at like, what was it, 18, 19 when you started?
22.
22. Say you were 22 now,
Yeah.
same situation, you got asked to go on TV, would you still go on? In this current environment that we live right now. Say you're
So
22
22
you're
now.
22 right now, you got asked to go on Chelsea, what do you do?
Well, that's a good question. Oh, that's 22 now. Oh God, it's good. No, I probably
Really?
wouldn't. You're like, that's the answer I wanted.
What's different then? What's different between Miles 22 then and Miles 22 now?
The reason why this is a hard question to answer is because everything I've lived through now, and if you're telling me I have the knowledge of what I've lived through, and I'm 22 to go on this show, I'll put it. Actually, look, it's a one answer. It's not a yes or no. It's, are you mentally tough? Are you mentally resilient? Can you deal with stressful situations? Are you okay with pretty much the whole world judging you of everything you do? Are you okay with never really having a private life? Are you okay for the fact that if you go to have a Five Guys, there'll be a press article about you having a Five Guys with your mates? You're watched at every moment. You'll be judged for everything you do, and every opinion could have a huge backlash, and you could get cancelled every second. So, especially nowadays where everything is really even more monitored, whereas back when I started, it wasn't really. It was, your freedom of speech was a little bit, your right to, no, not freedom of speech, your right to opinion was better. One thing that I think I struggle now today, and we've had a struggle with our podcast, is, I don't mind you not agreeing with what I have to say, and I think it's great because it opens up to debate and you can learn from someone. Me and my sister have it all the time. She's a huge feminist and I love her to bits, and I'll poke the bear all the time, and we have these crazy heated debates, and then I've learned something that from her side, she's learned something from my side. Even if we still stand by what we think, it's a great conversation. And I think now that's, in our day and age, it's gone. You can't do that. You can't not agree with someone. It has to be, oh, no, I'm going to counsel you because you're disgusting, or because you think this way, it's terrible.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I would say in answering your question is, no, in that sense, because you can't really speak freely anymore. And yes, do it because you have no idea what you do. Like, I'm doing this amazing production company with my two best mates, and I've got a podcast, and I'm able to do businesses that I would never have been able to do because it gives you a jump start, and it has its perks. So it's a hard one. It really is. But then I go back to 22-year-old me. Oh my God, if that day happened again, I'd be like, yes.
Really?
100%.
I think as well, like, a lot of people see reality TV, again, as a member of the public, who see it and they're like, oh my God, you've been on Made in Chelsea or Love Island. You must be minted. You must be forever having money. You're never going to have to worry about money again, And from what I've learned from getting to know people, that's not true. And I think I want to ask you guys, like, from your perspective, I'm not going to be like, now tell me how much you earn or any of that shit. But it's like,
let me show you my bank account.
500 grand a month.
Yeah, easy.
Right?
On a bad day.
I think that's why a lot of people start their own businesses, because we want to have the freedom, financial freedom and time freedom and, just choices. Whereas I think actually reality TV isn't all it's cracked up to be when it comes to the money
an image.
side.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it's interesting with Love Island and also Made in Chelsea because they're two different dynamics. And I think with Love Island, a lot of people back in the day would go on the show, make loads of money short term, and it'd be highly lucrative. But nowadays, that's not the case at all.
Back then they would make so much money because it wasn't brand deals for Instagram. It was a campaign deal you'd get with a big company,
and the thing is, it was far less saturated. So you'd have it would be more eyes on those people, and I don't know. It's definitely diluted over the years. For me, to be completely transparent, I did think I'd go on and make like more money than I did short term. And like, obviously pretty much everyone on that program, they say they go on for love, but yeah, you go on it like for to build a platform, all that sort of stuff.
Make them dope.
You're like, you be naive to believe everyone that says they went on there genuinely for love. I don't think I don't know anyone really that has gone on it for like the genuine purpose. Like, you got to take it with a pinch of salt. So I think the expectations for me were less coming off it than I thought they'd be. And then also going into Chelsea, for example, I feel like there are some people on there who come from very wealthy background, but at the same time, a lot of people aren't as wealthy or make as much money as you think they would do. It's like the image, right?
Well, yeah, it's so interesting. It's like when you see celebrities, actors, musicians, all these things, and it's like, because you're watching their life and it's glamorized and it looks like this, wow, it's expected, oh, that person makes loads of money. Oh my God, I remember my first year doing Chelsea. I mean, I can't say the number because this is, my contract, but, people who think you make money doing Chelsea is, I mean, you don't. It's what comes with Chelsea. Then if you capitalize on it, yes, you can make money.
But this is the whole thing, because back in the day, that was worth it, because the exposure and the benefits you got from going on site was far greater than it is now. It has declined so much in terms of like
massively
what it converts to. Like even with like the followers and also the amount, the saturation in the market of people like that it's just so much less.
100%.
Like even like we were having a conversation like in terms of like brand deals, you were saying compared to when you first did TV to now, they're like, it's way less of a common flow of them coming through.
And
not that you don't still do well, but it's just not as much of an active thing.
That's why I go from being a girl or a guy. Girls have brand deals as soon as they come out because there's more to sell in terms of fashion, skincare, makeup, all of that. Men, you can do fashion, not very well paid. You'll do tech stuff, but not really. And then you'll do PAs on the off come. Like it's a very hard thing to do. But back then I remember, even when I think I had like 20,000 followers at this stage. I was in Croatia. I got my first brand deal, which was Daniel Wellington, the watch. And to get a brand deal when you have 20K is amazing. Like, and I think they paid me $2,000 at the time. Which is a lot of money. And I remember going, damn, super excited, took some pictures, and it was like this whole swipe thing on my Instagram. And it was easier because, like you said, there were, nowadays there's an influencer every single day. There's a new influencer, and it's not just TV influencers now. Now it's digital. Now it's, YouTubers were once a thing. Now it's TikTokers, and the money you can make on TikTok is incredible if you have the time and the patience to be doing lives and asking people to gift you. But it's a crazy world we live in now in terms of influencing, in terms of being a celebrity or public figure, whatever you want to call it. Like, I hate the word influencer. I don't, even though I influence, I don't like being an influencer. I prefer a public figure. I like, but all that. It's the money is, you've got to go in with a plan. My dad, the first time I did my first year on Chelsea, said, you got to think of a business, enjoy it, treat it like a business.
Playtime Productions.
Ding, ding.
Funny
Funny enough, I had a production company before this called Nuff Said Productions. And
Enough
it was
said.
Yeah. And you'd
That's
go.
That's a.
So I was we had a live.
Said,
it wasn't Nuff Said, bruv. It was, so Enough Said, but it was Nuff Said. And it was a live lounge thing. So we had artists come into our studio, perform. And it's on YouTube. If you type in Nuff Said Productions, it's me and my two other founders who stole all my equipment and then went to Paris. Anyway, but yeah, what I'm saying is it's a very...
What are you saying?
I don't know what I'm saying. What I'm saying with the money thing, I want to explain it more, but it's hard to explain it without saying too much, because I don't want to, I've got to be careful, obviously, what I say, but it is incredibly difficult. And I think for anyone who listens to this or watching this, if you think all celebs or all reality stars are minted and killing it and caking it in money, they're not.
The thing is as well, right, that I find interesting is a lot of people, when they take the dive into like post being on Love Island or something like that, I get the sense that a lot of people almost feel ashamed to go back into a proper normal job or something like that. And they might be putting across this image that they're like living this crazy life post being on a TV show. But a lot of the time it's a lot less than you think. It's quite deceiving, and there's no problem with doing something like that and going back to something normal or like pursuing something else. At the end of the day, you shouldn't care about what other people think about you or the decisions you want to make. I did personally actually find that quite a difficult thing to dive back into having like a normal career, but it turned out to be the best thing for me anyway. But I feel like a lot of people have that mental block because they don't want to be seen to be like, oh, I didn't smash it. Exactly. Yeah.
Especially when you're in the public eye, because people are watching.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like, it's just you just need to get to that stage where you're just like, you go on something like a TV show and it naturally. I remember like sort of post 6 months being on Love Island, I was probably the most insecure and like under like most self-conscious person I've ever been in my life, just because I was subject to so much like change and like reassessing what I'm doing in my life. But once you come through that and have a bit more self-awareness and understand what's going on and realize that you just need to sort of pursue what you want to do as opposed to what I need to play up to image-wise, you start to become way more like, it all makes sense. You're like, why did I care about that?
Yeah. I always put it down to self-awareness. Like, for me, speaking on stages, I know, I've been speaking on stages for 4 years now. I know when I speak on a stage, I'm going to feel amazing for about a week and I'm going to have a come down. I will always, because you go from having this massive load of validation. And like for me, people come up to me when I'm at the event, like it's like hundreds of people. When they're on TV, obviously it's in your DMs or it's in the followers. And so you get I get so much physical validation and like people looking in awe and wanting me to sign books and shit like that. And I'm like, wow. And then I know, because I've done it for so long now. So you kind of have to come up with a plan. And it's similar to what you mentioned, like when going on TV, like your dad, have a business, have a strategy. Because I think a lot of people, obviously I mentor a lot of people who write books, publish books. They expect the book is going to change their life forever. Now, I'm not saying it's not, but you get this massive influx of, wow, you've written a book. And I always say to them, I try not to be like the downer, be like back to reality, but I'm like, what's coming next? How are you going to ride the wave? And I think a lot of people think, oh, it would all be well and good if I had 100,000 followers, or be so much easier if I was on TV. Would it though? Because it's just another platform. You've still got to have the strategy. You've still got to have the plan.
I mean, the proof is in some of these influencers. You've got influencers who've got millions of followers. You do nothing. Like I know people who have got hundreds of thousands of followers, and they don't do anything. They don't have anything. There's no structure. There's no business plan. There's nothing there. There's no money, because they don't know what to do with it. So it's all well and good being like, if only I had 100,000 followers, or if I had this money or had that. It's like, okay, what do you do with it though? That's where the expertise is understanding, okay, I have a push here because of something, because I'm on TV, because I have this, whatever. How do I manage that?
Yeah, I think also I was listening to a podcast recently, and it was saying how there's going to be a big shift towards sort of like micro influencers and people that
it already has happened.
Yeah, and it's going to be more so sort of 2024. That's going to be the landscape of like this sort of industry, because I can see it firsthand, like from being on a lot of peers who I went on TV with, like engagement drops off like a cliff, and you might have like hundreds of thousands or millions of followers, but like your engagement's shit. Versus someone who's got 20k followers, the most engaged following, it's super genuine. It's not like this short-term like uptick in fame or whatever. So they're not as invested, So
one thing you'll notice why YouTubers do better than anyone in that industry is because the gradual growth is the loyal fans that will follow you for years and years and years. Whereas the straight away, here's 500,000 followers, as soon as you're not relevant anymore, you drop and no one cares.
Exactly.
So that growth of like slowly growing, 10k to 20k months later, and people are like, oh my God, I love this person. And you're building that kind of community. The bigger community you have, the bigger opportunities you'll have, and it's way better. I mean, I've got a friend who's got like under 10k followers, and he's doing brand deals with Bentley.
Yeah,
got
exactly.
$5,000 for that. I was like,
Yeah.
bro, you should have like given me that contact. I'm more expensive.
It is about, though, like being honest with it as well, because I find that's the reason I created the Inspired by shows, because I got to meet, particularly speaking on stages, behind the stage, like, you know, in the green room where everyone's having a drink and they're non-alcoholic drinks before anyone goes on stage, by the way, just put that out there. And you speak to them behind the stage and they're like, oh yeah, I really need this to go well because I really need to get this many sales and and I can see them shitting themselves. Like, they're genuinely not in a best space. And then they go on, and I kid you not, the minute the curtain opens, they're just a different person. And I was like, I just want to create more raw and real and more honest. And I appreciate you, Charlie, for speaking so openly about the fact that how you felt going into your career again after the thought of what you thought it would be, because I think a lot of people don't ever admit that. And so they have this outside image of, yeah, but this is the dream and I'm living the dream. Internally, they're like, I'm not, but I don't want to tell anyone. And I think it's that shift, isn't it? Because you do have to be a bit careful with what you put out when everyone is listening and watching, because, you know, you can't delete it 5 minutes and hope no one sees it, because in those 5 minutes, a lot of people can see it, press can get it, and whatever else.
Yeah, I think more people should be like transparent when they come off stuff like that, because I feel like for me, I struggled for it for a while, but it's like, it's kind of a maturity thing as well. Like,
but you got to remember, you went on Love Island at age 27, right? 28, 27?
27, 28.
Yeah. Majority of the people on Love Island are 22 or 18.
Well, there was a few people on my season that were like my age. So like Jay Davide.
Yeah. Davide, I thought he was younger. I thought he was like 25.
She's like 27, I think.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Okay.
But yeah,
feel like
no, I agree with you completely. I feel like there's a lot of like, I feel like people will go through the same process, but further down the line, it's better just to be sort of like real with the situation, as opposed to delaying it and then being like, say 5-10 years down the line and being like, fuck, I should have really addressed this a lot earlier. And now I'm in this situation where I'm like, I've basically done nothing for the last 5 years. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. There, I agree completely, but then there's another side to it, and my dad says this all the time to me. He goes, "You're fake rich." You guys in French, he goes, "Faux riche," and it's basically fake it until you make it.
Yeah,
that whole saying. And when I started TV, it was very much fake until you make it mentality. And now I've made it in my own way. I'm so glad I kind of did not necessarily not come to terms with myself of like, this is reality, whatever, you know, what you were saying, but it was more just it's kind of understanding the industry. I feel like once you get it, you can navigate it to your disposal, and you can do whatever you want with it, and you can really benefit from it. If you can't manage it, that's where you shoot down, you plummet, and no one cares about you anymore. Yeah,
for sure. No, what I was saying there wasn't directed at you.
No. I know you're.
It was more to people that have been on reality TV shows that are no longer doing TV stuff and are sort of like still riding the wave. I'm living this influencer life. A lot of people still do really well. I'm not like hating on them or anything like that. I'm just saying like there's certainly a few like people that,
but I feel bad. It's a struggle.
Yeah, for sure. It is a struggle,
man. You know, I feel bad for these influencers who got this amazing platform, and they also stupidly went with a management who didn't care about them, who cared about them when they were hot minute.
Oh yeah,
and then disregarded them now because like, oh, it's the next governors now. We don't really care.
100%.
And that's really like, I see them out and about, and I'm like, God, you live up for that one night out. You go to a club where 5 people recognize you because that's what all you have, because 5 years ago you were on Love Island or you were on another show. And it's really difficult because there's a sense of pride of like, I did this. Why am I not Molly May? Or why am I not, you know, whoever? I don't know anyone who is anyone anymore. But like, that's what I'm saying. And it's to, like you were saying, can't just realize that you've got to understand that that's not your life anymore, and you've got to maybe go back into the real world or work in a new job. It's hard, man.
That being said, having just thought about it, that's probably the difference between people who go on it for the wrong reason versus those that are sort of just like, we're never planning to.
Yeah.
Because, for example, Jay who's one of my
Love Jay.
good friends. He was in exactly the same scenario as me. He wasn't planning on it. He was just like, whatever, what will be, will be. Came off, went straight back to work, similar to myself. And we're just like, that was wild.
Yeah.
That was pretty wild experience. Like, back to it though.
He's killing it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I almost, you kind of respect him.
Yeah, of
you
course.
Respect both of you going like, oh, sweet.
He's like the most genuine guy like ever. Like,
He's so nice.
yeah.
He's so lovely.
I think that's the beautiful thing about the situations you guys are both in, because you've both seen it from different perspectives, gone different directions, and also, but yet still finding a collaboration and a pretty incredible journey that you guys are on now with Playtime. I know we're probably way over time.
It's all good.
It's
our studio. Don't worry about it.
We're not going to get kicked out, right?
It's all good.
Unless
We're not
Laurie's
fired.
want to go home. So obviously you were friends from the reality TV shows that you knew each other through and whatever. Why Playtime podcast first? Because that Playtime podcast came before Playtime Productions.
So,
What came first, the egg or the chicken?
Chicken or the egg. So basically, Miles and I used to hang out all the time at his place. We used to gym together.
Yeah.
We used to literally do everything together.
Yeah.
And we used to be back at his flat, just like messing
time.
about,
Yeah.
chatting.
Having wagamamas.
Yeah. And just like, we were like, one day, I think I was just like, should we just like do a podcast and just film what
so this happened in the stint when he just came out of Love Island, and for 6 months you didn't have a structure of work, right?
Yeah.
So you were also still figuring it out. What am I doing? And I was trying to help you out as well with like influencing and like you remember you did a day of influencing. We did photos. It was like 6 hours. You're like, God, I was exhausted. I was like, I told you, it's not that easy being an influencer. But and we were chatting shit most of the day, and it was really fun, and we were having that time. Was it summer as well?
It was summer.
End of summer.
At that point as well, we were both very single. We were like, a lot of our
chats were about dating.
We were talking about dating, girls, that type of stuff. We're a little bit like a little bit less mature than we are now as well.
And it was Charlie who came up to me and said, why don't we start a podcast? And I was like, yeah, cool. I wasn't really sure about it because I tried to do a podcast a year prior with another friend and it didn't work out. It's really complicated to start a podcast, as you know. And there's a lot of work into it. There's a lot of money into it. There's loads of things. And I was like, okay, cool. And we sat on it for a couple of months for sure. And every time we met, we'd be like, okay, what topics, this is what we do, this is the name. And the name, oh my God, it took us so long. And then one day you went, Playtime. And we both went,
I remember so clearly when we were outside
my flat,
and we were like, "That's it.
That's the one. That's the word. We got Playtime."
Yeah.
And then what happened was, we then went to. I said, "I don't want to get a studio. I want to buy the equipment." So I did a personal investment, bought our mics, no cameras, just the mics and the system to plug everything in. And we recorded at my flat, which was probably one of my most of the favorite days, because it was very like on the couch, just chatting, and like we had our iPhones for the cameras, which, by the way, if you're starting a podcast and you don't, obviously come to Playtime Productions later on, but if you, on a very small budget, one thing, a little intel in this is iPhones film continuously without stopping, so you don't have to worry about normal camcorders can sometimes stop at 25 minutes, DSLRs, whereas a iPhone can record, obviously you've got data, space. So those you literally put them on landscape, film the whole thing, no problem. And we did that, and it was just fun.
Yeah.
It
took a few takes for us to get it.
It took us many takes.
Like I haven't actually listened back to our first podcast, but
we have to
honestly, like, Miles is a bit more camera trained, but I think you were still a bit like wooden.
Yeah.
But I was terrible. Like, I couldn't relax in front of the camera. I was like, couldn't speak. But we've both improved miles since then.
Yeah.
Excuse the pun. But basically, off the back of that, we
I remember the day.
Yeah.
It happened. So we my friend Emily Blackwell, also on Chelsea, we got on the episode, and she was asking how to create a podcast. She was interested in making one. And she was like, could you help? So we said, we'd help you do a pilot. So we did a 20-minute episode for her, recorded it, and then she wanted to send it to an agency to see if it get picked up. It's a different type of way of doing podcasting. And I remember people kept on asking, how do you podcast, all this? And I remember sitting on the counter, my kitchen counter. We've just finished filming her episode, and we were all there talking with Laurie and Charlie. And we were like, why don't we just help people make? We've got all the equipment, and also Charlie. So Laurie had just come on. Also, we got to a point where we were filming on our phones, and then Laurie came in because I knew him because he helped me try to do my podcast the year before, and it was terrible and never worked out. And I was like, I know this guy. So he came in, he's got all his cameras. He had, the cameras that we have. Well, these are new ones, but he had his 3 cameras set up. So he comes to the house every week, filmed, and then we kind of just said, why don't we help people create podcasts? Because Emily wanted one. And
yeah, I'd say the main thing that we wanted to address was we realized how expensive it is, first up, and how difficult it is to coordinate all the different elements. So with producing a podcast, if you don't know, you obviously need to have the equipment, the cameras, the producer, the cameraman, the editors, someone coordinating all of this to make sure it's all running smoothly and streamlined.
The audio,
the studio, the audio, how to distribute it. There's multiple different elements, and what we wanted to do was centralize it in one place. The podcaster turns up, we literally handle the rest, and they just pay us on a monthly basis, and it's supposed to streamline the whole process and basically make it easier for people to be able to podcast who aren't already established, because that's, there's a huge demand to create a podcast these days, but it's quite difficult to get on that platform. So we wanted to lower the barriers to entry, make it more accessible to people. And it's turned out to be a really popular concept. And having sort of launched it, we obviously have some great clients on board, like yourself. And we got to the stage where we're sort of streamlining processes to be able to sort of scale it. But the sort of proof of concept that, there's a demand for it and people want to do it is there, and it's super exciting.
Yeah, because we were, I remember when we did the official first email consultation thing, which is when you sign up to Playtime on our website, you get a free call with us, and then we chat through your podcast like we've done with you, and we say, what do you want to do? And then we help you and blah, blah, blah. We expected it to just be influencers messaging us, being like, we want this and we want that. And then it was just such a diverse, different group of people.
Yeah.
And we also thought it was just going to be these people who weren't really serious about making podcasts, and we're like, okay, we'll see what happens. And it was really, really amazing. And the clients that we have on board now is insane. Everyone's gone from different backgrounds, everyone's very inspiring in their own way, and we've got big plans to scale it, obviously. But one thing I will say is, even though coming from creating our own podcast, now distributing podcasts for other people, we've come in with our own issues and trying to make it a really easy process, and learning this side of the business has been incredible for all 3 of us.
For sure. I think I always saw that advice, when you start your own business, you'll come across all these issues. I was like, oh, come on.
So true.
Yeah,
so true.
Yeah, I was like, that's not going to be me. Shut up.
Yeah.
It's so true. There are just small little teething issues
every
that
day.
you don't really realize until you go through the process of doing it.
Yeah.
The smallest things. And yeah, it's a really great process, and just, I don't know, it's very exciting doing something that's like ours.
Yeah.
That has some legs to it. So yeah.
I'm really excited for you guys, because obviously I've come on board fairly early in the Playtime Productions career and in the life of it, and I'm sure it will go on for a hell of a lot longer and with me there. And it's been funny because I've been running my own book publishing agency for 4 years now. I've been in business 7 years, and so I've been on the journey of the teething challenges, a done for you service, people involved, different characters, different perspectives, different expectations, and I think it's something that it's so interesting to see someone else go through it as well, because what you guys have gone through, we've spoken, I'm like, oh, I remember that. Oh yeah. And firing clients and hiring clients, being like, oh, actually they're my favorite client, or oh, that's a dream client, that's not a dream client. And I think business is never easy, and I really appreciate you saying that, because I never had a clue really when I started business, and a lot of people were like, oh, it's gonna be hard, or you're gonna get this, and I was like, really, am I? And then you live it, you're like, oh yeah,
you know what,
that was what everyone was wanting me about.
Because when you see these motivational speeches, and then they're like, be prepared to work late and long hours and all this. And I was like, oh, come on, this is easy. It's something we love to do and all that. Because one thing that you got to remember, like also Charlie and Laurie, we all have our separate jobs outside of Playtime Productions, and obviously we're working towards Playtime to be more, very much, this is it, all of like more full time. So that was something, a challenge, being able to create the company that we have now, and you know, also the future of where it needs to be, having that and other jobs and things that we're doing on the side is like you know, it's Sunday and we'll be on a 3.5 hour call the other day with the whole team things, and it's just like problems, solutions, and then you think you've got everything sorted, and then today, you know, I got a message and I was like, oh my God, okay, we've got to sort this out. We've got a meeting after this. And we've got to do, and it's like, God, there's a lot of, and it's constantly, you know?
Yeah.
And one of the things that people always say to me, oh, what would you recommend about personal development? Like, how would I develop myself? I'm like, start a business.
Yeah.
Like, you will learn so much about yourself on camera, off camera, you know, in front of people. You just never know who you really are until you're running a business.
100%.
I think you think you're stretched to your limits in so many different ways. And also, Miles, you talked about it a little bit, relationships wise with you know, being in the public eye, but business is the same. Like your other half's often, I'm very fortunate my other half really gets it. It was actually his idea for me to start a business. So he was kind of like, anytime I was working late, I was like, it's your fucking fault, not mine.
Yeah.
But a lot of people struggle with that because you have to like give so much to your business.
This is your baby, isn't it?
Exactly.
Essentially. And you then have to understand what is your priority list, right? You know, family, friends, social life, loved ones, business, where like in that order, I mean, whatever the order is for you, where is the order? And we're lucky we're single. So for example, right now it's business first up there. But like I think I actually have found this interesting though, being so busy, dating. I don't know if you've found this, but because we are so busy with Playtime Productions, Playtime Podcasts, then our other job, dating has been like the communication with when you're with someone and you're like working late, you can't see them on weekends because we're here on Sundays. We're here every Sunday. Certain things like that, it's like quite impossible. And some people don't get it. It's like, why can't I see you? It's like, well, have a business.
Yeah, I think also though, it's difficult, but it's also a privilege to be in the position we're in, I think. And that's what I always like, people say to me like, oh, you're so busy at the moment, like you're working on weekends and stuff like that. But I'm like, it's exciting. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of business owners will kill to be busy.
Yeah.
Right. If you think about businesses that are going down, like whenever I have a wobble, because I like to call them wobbles rather than breakdowns. So I'm like, whenever I have a wobble, I'm like, I know that if I wasn't busy, I'd be worried. So this is a good thing.
My mum says to me, she always goes, enjoy when I don't have a lot on, I panic. I don't like it. I'm like, where you remember when I went skiing, I had a really bad time. I was changing management company. I was going, the whole life was kind of turning upside down. And when I'm not busy, I feel really weird and worried. I don't know what's going on. And now this is probably the busiest time I've ever been in my life. And I keep thinking about those words from my mum going like, enjoy when you have got nothing on, because my God, like, even yesterday, I had half a day where I had like 3-4 hours of doing nothing, and still I'm on my emails or I'm texting, making sure things are getting done. I can't wait to have like a weekend off or holiday. My God, I'm so tired.
Yeah. And it's about prioritizing that, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, making the space for it. Well, guys, I've had a great time.
Yeah, sorry, we could literally.
I feel like this has been like inspired by and Playtime.
Yeah.
One.
We should put our one up at the same time.
A collab one, yeah. I think it's been great having you guys on.
Thank
I
you.
love the honesty. I love the way we've just sort of like flowed through the conversations. Now, obviously today we've been inspired by you both, so thank you so much for taking the time out to come to our own studio to talk about your studio. It's been great. I'd love to know from you guys. We have a final question that we ask all our guests. Who do you know that has an inspiring story that we should have on the show next?
So, because I've done no research on this, and on the top of my head, just a heads up, for 40 minutes before this, we knew this was going to come up. We're like, who do we say?
Yeah, we were literally like searching for it.
Yeah.
Because you know so many
Because we know so many inspiring people. So I will say... But for me, in terms of knowing your podcast, I think someone that would be very different to people that you've had on, and someone also I think who would be very open to being completely honest, and you'll get a real raw person, is Lottie Moss. I've known her for a few years now. She's a great person, amazing person, and I think she's got a lot more to say and tell. I've seen a lot of interviews she's done. I think with the way you interview, I think you'd get something more out of her, which would be great to see.
So, on to me. I had 2 suggestions. One actually sprung to mind while we were talking. I think an interesting person to talk to would actually be Harvey Armstrong, because he's gone through the process of going on a TV program, creating a business, which is prime time. Be interesting to talk about the trials and tribulations with that. I also mentioned, this is such a random one as well, Tonia Buxton, Antigone's.
Woo, Tonia!
Yeah. I don't know why. I was looking through and I was like, I think she'd be great on a podcast.
Yeah, she's great. She's lovely.
And I think you'd have a good conversation with her, because she's like a very successful chef, like been through like all that sort of industry. So yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
No
We've got
worries.
a handful there, so I'll definitely be getting in touch.
Messaging us to
Yeah.
message
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's part of the
Yeah,
deal,
it's part of
'cause you
the
run
thing.
this podcast.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. It's been
No
great
worries.
having
Thank you so
and
much.
I'm really excited to see where Playtime Productions and Inspired By go from here.
100%.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.